If something existed that worked better and was more effective for your health, happiness, relieving stress and discomfort, along with many other things beyond traditional American medicine, would most people do it? You would think. But because of skepticism and our general collective limited knowledge of our health, it's stopping people from embracing what they might consider different. And today, that's why I'm telling you about my acupuncture story and introducing my acupuncturist, Dr. Saima. Exactly 1 year ago today, I visited Dr. Saima for my intense acid reflux. Now, I already talked about acid reflux a bit when I told you my story about weight loss, but if you didn't see it, let me give you a quick recap. Starting around early 2016, right when I was getting ready to start this channel, I was experiencing intense bloating, burping, gas, and very painful acid reflux. The only way I can describe it is it felt like no matter what I ate, it felt like I just got done eating a massive Thanksgiving dinner. My stomach would be incredibly bloated. I would feel this weird pain in my chest. I talked to a lot of people, family and friends about acid reflux, and they told me I needed to eat bland foods. I needed to do like elimination diets. I tried all of that and nothing worked. Now get this, my longtime doctor at the time, my old family doctor, he told me I was experiencing this because I just quit smoking. He explained it in like a way where like when you're smoking, there's certain enzymes that are in your body, and when you quit, those enzymes don't exist anymore, so that creates this feeling of acid reflux. And he said over time it would go away. And he was incredibly wrong, and I'm finding out more and more that he was incredibly wrong about a lot of things, which is why I stopped going to him. But time passed, I was learning to live off of Tums, I was trying Pepcid and Zantac. It kept getting worse, and everyone told me I just needed to go see another doctor. So I did. In 2020, I found a new family doctor, I explained what was happening, and I was tested for H. pylori, which came back negative. So I was prescribed omeprazole, and I was told that I would most likely have to take this for the rest of my life. My doctor also told me that I'd most likely need to lose around 10 to 20 pounds. So I lost 40 pounds. Absolutely nothing changed. So finally, after complaining more and more and more to my doctor about my acid reflux, she suggested that I see a specialist, and she recommended a gastroenterologist. So I went to the local gastroenterologist. He told me to continue taking the omeprazole and schedule me for a gastrointestinal endoscopy. During that, biopsies were taken of my stomach and duodenum to test for things like H. pylori, which, again, came back negative. Surprise. I was then treated for H. pylori using multiple antibiotics all at the same time. My gastroenterologist had me take another H. pylori test. Again, surprisingly, that test came back negative. My gastroenterologist was really excited because he cured me of H. pylori. So at this point, I'm back on my double dose of omeprazole, and I was feeling horrible. I was at a complete loss of hope, and that's when I started researching some alternative treatments. I started coming across study after study showing positive results with patients that were using acupuncture to lessen or even completely eliminate acid reflux. The one that completely sold it to me as an acupuncture skeptic was in the VA.com, the Veterans Affairs Whole Health Library. It was a line that said, acupuncture may also be more effective than doubling the dose of a PPI in those with persistent symptoms. I was doubling the dose with persistent symptoms, and it wasn't effective. So the very next day, I made an appointment with Dr. Saima.
Hey, I'm Saima Body. I'm an acupuncturist and a mother and a wife, and a huge advocate for people being empowered and having all the information available to them so that they can make really great choices for themselves about their well-being and how they choose to be healthy, how they choose to live a healthy life. I'm really passionate about people knowing the options that are available to them and like different ways that they can take care of themselves.
What actually led you to acupuncture?
So when I was 19, I was diagnosed with mesial temporal sclerosis with temporal lobe epilepsy. Basically what that means is I was having seizure after seizure, and we couldn't get them to stop. And it was like different drug cocktail, like not just one drug to stop the seizure, but like let's throw 3 or 4 different things. So many solutions, so many ideas, so much brainstorming, a team of neurologists. It wrecked my life. At a certain point it was like, hey, you're probably going to lose, like the sclerosis is spreading, the more seizures you have, the more problematic this is becoming. And at some point, you're not going to be able to like have normal brain function. And we estimate that happening right around the time that you turn 27, 28 years old. I really resigned myself to this was my future. Like this was going to be my outcome. If this is what they're telling me, this must be the truth. And that's the end of that. And then I took a life-changing program, and it was a growth and development program. And in that program, I realized for the first time that I had taken what a team of a few people told me as the truth and like the only way it could go. And for the first time, I created this brand new possibility for living for me. What if anything can heal? So that was a rabbit hole for me. And I emailed everyone I knew. I told everyone I knew what I was dealing with, and I asked for help. And I had 98 responses to that inquiry, and I wrote all of them down. Number 7 on the list was acupuncture. And I found an acupuncturist who became my mentor here in Orlando and worked with me for a few months. And I had a whole bunch of seizures, and then I didn't have any for a year and a half. Something else is possible. And so I had to make sure that I became someone who could make that same thing available to people who need that.
In the simplest terms that you can imagine, how does it work?
I actually love that question. I get that question a lot. I joke with people about how people ask me, how does acupuncture work? But really what they're asking is, does it work? So, in the simplest terms, and I'm really glad I read this book, and we should look to see who the author is, but this book is called The Spark in the Machine. And it's like how the science of acupuncture demystifies like medical science. It's like it turns things around on you. It's kind of cool. Fascia basically acts as like a natural compartment system that compartmentalizes areas of your body. And there are a couple of really unique features about fascia. So one, it can conduct electricity across that compartment. It can stop electricity, and it can double in size. So we take those areas that microcurrent of electricity runs through your body, and we use the acupuncture needle to conduct that electricity and manipulate it. So it's basically like getting it back on track. And so that's like a really smart, very sophisticated, and very subtle, gentle, and effective way to get all of your systems up and running, because that is like the most basic communication system that your body uses.
Why do I feel so relaxed? There's this feeling that I'm floating. That is because I'm injuring you. So the endorphins that are getting released, what we say in acupuncture and Asian medicine is that we use the term chi, but it really just means energy. Like, you know, you're aware you have energy. You wake up in the morning, you're like, I have energy. I feel drained. I don't have energy, right? Like, that's our sense of energy here in Western culture. And very rarely you get to experience or feel or sense your own energy and what that actually is, but it is electricity. When we stabilize that electricity or that microcurrent, one of the many effects of doing that is a kind of like an anchoring of your nervous system. Another way to say that is activating your parasympathetic nervous system. For people that are afraid of needles.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't feel like a puncture.
Yeah.
Or like you're getting stabbed.
Right.
What do you have to say to them?
Okay.
I'll figure out what it is.
So this is like a standard pack of needles. This is a guide tube that I like to use. The reason I like to use a guide tube is because the needles that we're using most of the time are so thin and flimsy. I mean, so it's like my hair. You need the tube because otherwise you can't get it through the skin. It won't puncture the skin barrier because skin's thick.
How far do they go in?
I mean, really, so there are certain styles of acupuncture, like Japanese style of acupuncture is very famous for this, like very superficial penetration. So like 0.2 mm in depth. It's hanging into the skin. The gluteus muscle, for example, like that's a pretty thick area. So you're gonna need to go in inches to even reach an area that you would even feel anything, or that it would stimulate anything.
You really don't even know.
You won't feel, yeah, so that's the big thing, is that like, this is what's so surprising. You don't feel the puncture. Our idea of getting punctured with needles is when we've had to give blood, or like when we're getting an injection of some kind, which
it hurts.
Yeah, it hurts. Like, that's gonna hurt. I'm gonna feel that go through my skin. That's not the sensation. The sensation of acupuncture is when you get the needle to the depth of that microcurrent and you feel that movement. The problem with trying to describe what that is it is a different sensation for everybody. For some people it feels like heavy. Some people it feels tingling. Some it's like a dull ache. A lot of young people that I have put needles in, it tickles them. That's the sensation.
What are some of the most common things that people come to see you for?
So I'm not like one of these acupuncturists that's over here trying to say that I can like treat anything under the sun. Acupuncture can treat anything under the sun, and you can find an acupuncturist that specializes in just about anything. So I really love treating issues of the immune system. That's just something I have the most amount of experience with, like allergies or like chronic immune issues. I love treating women that are postpartum. I experienced a very difficult and stressful postpartum period. I love treating vets. So like PTSD is something that's really, so stress, anxiety, that's like, that. It's hard to pick a favorite, but I mean, that might have to be my favorite.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think we're good.
Cool.
Yeah, this was great.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, okay, awesome. It's now a year after my very first acupuncture appointment and my visit with Dr. Saima, and I'm happy to report I'm completely off omeprazole. I don't take any more acid reflux medications, anything over the counter or prescribed, and I rarely, if ever, get acid reflux. I now take a digestive enzyme at the recommendation of Dr. Saima. It's just something really light. It's like a papaya enzyme, and I only take that from time to time, anytime I eat kind of like a larger meal. It actually tastes pretty good. I like it. I still go for acupuncture, but after 8 weeks, Dr. Saima recommended that we kind of start cutting it down. It wasn't necessary as much anymore. She was starting to relieve a lot of the symptoms, and my acid was getting a lot better. But I chose to continue going for the stress relief, the relaxation, and just I enjoy it. It's great to work with Dr. Saima on my health using acupuncture and Chinese medicine. I feel more comfortable with her now than I would my normal family doctor. It's been one of the most effective treatments I've ever experienced in my whole life for most of the issues that I've had. So after dealing with acid reflux for almost 7 years, and I know a lot of people are skeptical, I can confidently say that acupuncture changed my life.